Hey, good evening. Hope everybody's having a good day. I've had to take a couple of days off here. I think the last show we did was maybe Tuesday night. No, that was on Monday night. I've got a whole lot of work going on with a book. You can see a little bit of what's shaping up right there, but that's the next book that's underway. And it should be ready, I think, in maybe a couple weeks here. And that's going to cover instability and shear. So keep an eye out for that coming up here for early November. Anyway, I just thought I would put together a quick show for you guys. I've got to get right back to the writing here, so let me get my windows all set. I've lost my preview window. Okay, there we go. Okay, well, you've been staring at this graphic for about the past 3 or 4 minutes, so let's go ahead and analyze that. Let me get my tools back here. Okay, there we go. We've got a pretty strong front coming in from the Central Plains right there. And if you followed the webcast over the past couple weeks, lots of boxes here in the central U.S. So very strong cold air advection through this region right here, bringing a lot of cool air southward through the Great Plains. And this is not so much a Pacific system as it is a Canadian system there. But some of it is crossing over the mountains right there. You can see some of the high pressure building in over the overpasses. And looks like we've probably got a little bit of a backdoor front through the Four Corners area. And then through the Great Plains, more of a conventional front right there. Looks like maybe a warm front through Milwaukee, into Detroit, and into the Columbus area. So this is the preliminary surface analysis. And there's a look at the theta, showing that blast of cold air coming southward. The leading edge is, I think at this hour, around Oklahoma City, to about Columbia, and then down to Lubbock. Yeah, let's do a quick analysis. And there's a look at the plots. Pretty obvious where that front is. So it looks like it's actually past Gainesville, coming into Abilene, and behind that some fairly strong winds up to about 35 knots there at Tinker. That's going to be about 40 miles an hour. And then more of a broad scale picture. Pretty quiet in the desert southwest. Temperatures have come back up in that area. However, north winds in the high deserts, so we are bringing in some of that polar air from the north. I guess the leading edge is going to be somewhere right around there. Pacific Northwest, pretty quiet in that area too. Lots of 50s and 60s. North Plains, lots of cold air coming in. Temperatures going below freezing there at Grand Forks. A little bit of snow. And let me try plotting the wind chills. Let's see what comes up there. Okay, yeah, wind chill readings down to about 5 degrees there around Rapid City. And then looks like maybe also in northern South Dakota, and then -10 up there in North Dakota. Some very bitter cold air there. Northeast U.S. pretty quiet. Just some residual westerly flow with that high down to the south. And then in the southeast U.S., we can see that low or that high over the Carolinas right there, 1016 millibar high. And around the periphery of that, we've got a little bit of easterly flow through Florida right there. And then coming back to Texas, southerly winds, onshore flow, not much moisture, mostly 50s dew points. We have not really had time to bring up the deeper moisture. And with that front coming in, we're not going to have any chance of precip here. Maybe down on the Gulf Coast, but certainly possible, but not for northern Texas. Okay, like I said, this is going to be just kind of a quick presentation. This is the temperature anomaly, so looks like the coldest air is right there in the Dakotas. Temperature's a little bit more seasonal up in the Arctic. And there's a look at it with the polar orbiter data and one square that did not fill in. So I'll use the other imagery. And this is showing that little Alberta Clipper system right there through the northern plains. Lots of cold air advection back there. And elsewhere, pretty quiet. All right, a quick look at the upper air pattern. This is the 250 millibar analysis showing northwesterly flow across western Canada right there. Polar front jet over Alberta. And a couple of waves. In fact, there's a ridge right there. Shortwave ridge, kind of a major shortwave ridge, and then a major trough off the east coast right there. So, very active pattern. And if it was December, we would be looking at a lot of snow through the central and eastern U.S. So, let's go ahead and look at the satellite imagery. And there's that push of cold air coming southward. You can see the low-top stratocumulus back over the Dakotas. And let me take a quick look at the chat here. Wow, surprised we've got 16 people here. I do apologize. My voice is pretty hoarse right now because I haven't really, usually I hydrate really well before these webcasts. And I've been working all afternoon and evening, so I'm really not at my best here. Okay, Megan John, got to meet the director of SPC. Excellent. Ryan Toomies is here, and Thomas Copeland. Ron Chalfant, Dwayne Ward, 46 in the Delmarva. David Moore looking for those temperature changes coming up in only a couple of hours. Looking for cooler weather there in Florida, where Ryan is. Yeah, that front should actually make it all the way south. Snowing in Denver, where Mike is, and Mike Estwick there. Lexi is here, and Justin Pulliam. Ryan is watching the development of a tropical system off the Costa Rican coast. Map looks like George Carlin's Hippy Dippy Weatherman. Yeah, AM/FM, that was one of my favorite George Carlin albums from way back. 81 degrees there at Denver earlier. Yeah, let's look at the temperature change in Denver today. If you go to the Aviation Weather Center, you'll get a really neat METAR trend that you can use here. And the way to get to that is you go to Observations and then go to METAR. And then down, let's see, down here, you just put in your station. So we'll do Denver, and we'll cover the past 36 hours. And there's the trend there. Okay, so earlier this morning, temperatures were in the, hang on a second. Temperatures were right around 50 to 52, light northeast winds. Who was saying it was 80 degrees? It was 81 in Denver, oh, yesterday. Yeah, you go way back there to yesterday, and yeah, 27 to 28 Celsius. Very warm weather yesterday. And then the front hit. So where was that front? Well, let's see. We went from 21, temperatures falling gradually through the evening. And then right around 15Z, right around here, temperatures were starting to go up a little bit, up to 9. And then down to 8, and then down to 6. So it hit sometime around 10 in the morning. And you can see the winds coming up to 25 knots. Temperatures falling during the day. And then it finally went below 32 right around 4 p.m. So yeah, it's snowing right there in Denver. And another way to look at this is with the SCUTs. So let me bring up the Denver SCUT. And there we go. That's the current sounding very strong cold air mass there. Very, very strong frontal inversion. So I'm going to try to save that for my project here. And above that, lots of dry air aloft. But it's in this layer right here where we're generating that snow there. So this layer right up here where it's about 10 to 15, that's the dendritic growth zone. So plenty of snow crystals coming together there and falling into the cold air mass. And if it was a little bit warmer, we might even see some of that as freezing rain. This is not a freezing rain situation, but what I was talking about there is if the whole... Sometimes what will happen is you have like a cold layer aloft and then a mid-layer warm air mass. And then down near the ground you'll have that cold air mass there. So that can be a very good setup for freezing rain when that happens. But all of this sounding is below freezing. So that's the zero line right there. It's all ice crystals there. Okay, well, I've got to wrap this up here, and I'm getting some texts. Okay, so let me go ahead and bring this up to the GFS. And let's look at the forecast over the next couple of weeks. So here's that front coming south. And you can kind of see the thickness, the blue line. It dips down the furthest south, right through the middle of the Great Plains. So this is telling us that some of the coldest polar air is working its way southward through Kansas and Oklahoma, heading right for Texas there. For tomorrow evening, okay, yeah, it looks like now we do get a little bit of shower activity early tomorrow morning, right around Little Rock and Shreveport down to Houston. So now we're starting to pick up a little bit of that moisture there. And then by tomorrow evening, and I'm planning on doing the webcast unless I have a problem here, lately it's been stuff like sleep and my work schedule. But there it is. Cold front, warm front up north of Lake Ontario. And then back over the Great Lakes, occluded front. So this is going to be a old occluded low over Wisconsin. And pretty good wraparound right there through the Twin Cities and around Duluth. Probably a little bit of lake effect snow there. See Lake Superior right there? Wind component coming off the lakes, and this is the ideal time for a lake effect because the lakes are very warm right now. So there should be a pretty good potential for snowfall northern Wisconsin out to Duluth and maybe about 50 to 75 miles inland. And then further to the south, that should be mostly dynamic, a little bit lighter. And yeah, we're heading into the weekend. So for Saturday, system moves up into Canada there. Here's that old polar high coming into Texas. Cold air advection coming into Georgia and Alabama into northern Florida. And it does look like we have a tropical system coming up out of Cuba. See that right there? A little bit of a low. And that comes across the Miami area late Saturday evening. So conditions will kind of moderate, and we'll have high pressure across Houston on Sunday. Westerly flow downslope that'll warm things up very rapidly. And then we have our next shot lining up right there. So this is a classic northwesterly flow pattern. Next system coming south. And there it is, moving into Arkansas, Oklahoma by Monday. And then we get, looks like maybe a little bit of return moisture. That impinging on the front right there on Tuesday. Probably be looking at a storm day for Halloween there. Yeah, so this is midnight here on Halloween, showing some pretty pronounced thunderstorm signals there over northeast Texas, all the way down into the Austin area. Cold air comes southward, and then we have just kind of a period in between systems, and then we have a major system coming together in the northwest. And this is going to be around Thursday next week. See that gradient, very, very tight gradient. Large polar air mass coming together there in northwest Canada. And it looks like it's blocked by this low pressure here in the Rockies. Probably got a southwesterly flow helping to check the southward progress. And it looks like it actually modifies quite a bit, so it doesn't blast southward like you would normally expect. I mean, that's a very, this is about a 1048 millibar high. Normally that would go very quickly to the southeast. However, the southerly component in the upper level flow is helping to keep that southward advancing of that air mass. Okay, then the next weather system is coming in for the 10th, towards the very end. New front coming south, more snow for Minnesota and Wisconsin. And then cold weather there for the middle of November. then just out of curiosity's sake, let me pull up the temperatures. See what we're looking at here. This is the GFS forecast temperatures. So for tomorrow morning, we start out with 40s and 50s across North Texas. And then over the weekend for highs, we're looking at 40s and 50s. And some solid 40s across the Ohio River Valley area, and 30s and 20s for Minnesota. Very warm there in Florida. But it looks like that cold air does make its way southward. And then by Monday, we're looking at highs of about 70. Upper 60s to around 70 there in Florida. So pretty good cool down there. And then the map in general just looks very mild for the southern U.S. Some very potent polar air developing up north. Pretty stout warm up there for the 4th and 5th of November. And you can see we're back to 80s, 70s and 80s. So that does mean wherever we have boundaries and strong upper level flow, I think we're going to start looking at a severe weather potential creep back into the forecast anywhere across this area here for next week. Okay, so that's about all I got right there. And wow, towards the very end right there, developing some very significant Arctic air up over Alberta. These are 1 p.m. temperatures, actually around noon, looking at below 0 Fahrenheit around Edmonton and Calgary. So if there's a way to kick that southward, we would have a real winter blast. So we'll just have to see what happens. That's about 2 weeks away there. Okay, well, that's about it for me. I've got to get back to my writing. So let me get my levels fixed, and that'll be it for tonight. And quick check of the chat. Is this a private stream? No, it's not a private stream. You're welcome to check it out. And hopefully we'll be back tomorrow at 8 p.m. Central. All right, take care, and we'll see you then.